This story begins with a guy waking up in complete darkness, confused and wondering where he is. At first, he can't see anything at all. But shortly after, he notices a faint light slowly appearing in front of him. The light grows brighter and he realizes it's coming from what looks like the inside of an eggshell. A portion of the shell is broken, allowing him to see outside. Through the opening, he can tell that he's in a forest. This only raises more questions, especially when he realizes he can't move his body at all. Before he can think too deeply about it, a status screen suddenly appears in front of him. When he reads it, he freezes in shock because it clearly states that he is a dragon egg. This completely confuses him. His stat window then fully opens, and a divine voice announces that this window displays all of his current abilities along with numerical values to make them easier to understand. Still confused, he tries talking to the divine voice, demanding an explanation for what the hell is going on. However, the divine voice calmly responds that it cannot explain anything yet because he is still level 1. This only annoys him further. In his frustration, he shakes his body slightly, which causes him to fall from the tree he was resting in. He hits the ground and begins rolling downhill uncontrollably until he finally reaches a river. As he sits there, he realizes he can see his reflection in the water. When he looks closely, he's shocked to see that his reflection really is a dragon egg. Seeing how lost he is, the divine voice decides to cut him some slack and finally gives him a proper explanation of his situation. It explains that he is indeed a dragon egg, which in this world is classified as an F-rank monster. If his shell were to completely break, he would die instantly, meaning he was already taking a big risk by creating that small eye hole. The divine voice continues, explaining that even though dragon eggs are at the very bottom of the food chain, they have the potential to grow into fearsome dragons over time. However, that only happens if they manage to survive long enough. Since dragon eggs are considered a popular delicacy among monsters, because dragon eggs obviously don't have legs, the only way they can move is by rolling. Even after hearing all of this, he still doesn't fully understand what's happening to him. Deciding that staying in one place is too dangerous, he starts rolling away at full speed, trying to get as far as possible. Unfortunately, this only leads to him rolling off a small cliff. He's been falling a lot lately, and because of this, the system announces that his fall resistance has increased from level 1 to level 2. Even so, the fall still reduces his HP, reminding him that he needs to be more careful. Realizing he's injured and exhausted, he decides to take a nap to recover, as expected. When he wakes up, his HP is completely restored. This confirms for him that sleeping fully refills his health bar, which at least gives him one small sense of relief in this strange and dangerous new world. After that, he continues rolling around while thinking to himself, wondering what exactly will happen when he finally hatches. He questions whether he'll turn into some massive dragon one day and be forced to fight enemies non-stop just to survive. As he keeps rolling forward, lost in thought, he suddenly comes to a halt when he notices a giant insect not too far away. Sensing danger, he quickly hides behind a tree and immediately uses his appraisal skill on it. The result shows that the creature is nicknamed the Egg Eater. Just as the name suggests, the moment the insect notices him, it instantly lunges forward and begins chasing him with clear murderous intent. He rolls away as fast as he possibly can, but even he can tell that he won't be able to escape forever just by rolling. At this rate, he'll eventually get caught, so he realizes he needs to gain the upper hand somehow. The worm relentlessly chases him all the way to the edge of a cliff, right as it leaps forward, trying to swallow him whole. He dodges at the very last second. Using every bit of strength he has, he crashes into the creature and manages to shove it off the cliff. The monster tumbles down the slope below and dies instantly. This becomes the very first battle he has ever won. The system immediately announces that he has gained 12 experience points, and has now reached level 5. Because of that, all of his stats are fully maxed out. On top of that, he has met the requirements for evolution, giving him the option to choose between evolving into a baby dragon or a little dragon. Since he has no idea what the actual difference between the two is, the system steps in and explains it to him. The little dragon is described as a dwarf breed of dragon. While it's considered small compared to other dragons, its fully grown size is still larger than that of a bear, and it's widely known for its powerful fire breath attack. As for the baby dragon, the system explains that it isn't very well suited for battle due to its short claws and fangs. However, it possesses immense potential and can eventually evolve into many different species of dragons. Naturally, baby dragons are considered a prized delicacy by monsters and adventurers alike, which means they are constantly hunted wherever they appear as expected. He chooses the little dragon because it's clearly the much safer option for survival. However, immediately after making his choice, the divine voice places its arms around him and tells him not to limit himself. It explains that it has high expectations for him, and that he should always aim for the very top. Hearing this leaves him feeling confused. He starts wondering if the divine voice only said that because he chose the little dragon simply because it was the safer option rather than taking a risk. He recalls how the system mentioned that the baby dragon has great potential and can evolve into many different forms. From that, he starts to suspect that the little dragon might not be able to evolve very far or possibly might not evolve at all after a certain point. With that in mind, he ultimately decides to go with the baby dragon, because he doesn't want to have any regrets whatsoever, even though it might be risky. He doesn't want to look back later and think that he made the wrong choice or held himself back out of fear. The system accepts his decision and grants his wish, and in the next moment, his body begins to change as he transforms into a yellow baby dragon exactly as requested. Along with the evolution, he gains a large number of new skills, and all of his previous stats are significantly boosted compared to before. However, despite evolving, his HP and MP don't refill afterward, which means he's still exhausted and will need some proper rest before pushing himself any further. Almost immediately after realizing this, his stomach suddenly growls loudly, making it clear that he needs to eat something soon. Looks over at the worm he defeated earlier, and to his surprise, it actually looks kind of delicious to him. Now he realizes that if he wants to keep getting stronger, he needs protein, and with that thought, his dragon instincts completely kick in without hesitating any longer. He devours the worm. Eating, he lies down and falls asleep, and when he wakes up the next morning, he feels energized and refreshed after getting a good night's rest. He heads over to the river to look at his reflection, and that's when he fully acknowledges that he's been reincarnated into this world. However, what he finds strange is that he doesn't have any memories of his past life at all. He can't remember who he used to be, what kind of life he lived, or even whether he was a boy or a girl. Just as he's thinking about that, he turns around and notices several dark worms behind him. This time, instead of running away, he charges straight at them. Using his new skills, he wipes out the first wave in record time. As he continues defeating more of them, he unlocks additional skills, which only makes fighting easier and more efficient. After wiping them all out, he starts to feel hungry again. However, he doesn't want to eat the dark worms, since they tasted awful the last time. So he spots some mushrooms nearby and decides to try those instead. That quickly turns out to be a terrible idea, because he soon realizes the mushrooms are poisonous. After dealing with the consequences, he firmly decides that he's never going to eat random mushrooms again. With that lesson learned, he heads deeper into the forest to look for real Since he really doesn't want to keep surviving on dark worms, he explores for a while until he spots a gray wolf nearby. And even though it's bigger than him, he still manages to use his baby breath and dragon punch to take it down. The fire slightly burns the wolf's skin, and after taking a whiff, he realizes that it smells just like barbecue. Curious, he uses his baby breath to grill it a bit more, and when he finally takes a bite, he finds that it's absolutely delicious. After that, he comes across another gray wolf and defeats it almost instantly, and this causes him to level up all the way to level 20 out of 25. With this, he realizes that he still needs to gain 5 more levels before he can finally evolve again. Once the wolf is dead, he begins grilling it just like before and slowly realizes that he's starting to get used to living like a dragon. Hunting, fighting and eating like this is becoming normal to him. Still, even though he's getting stronger, having only the divine voice to talk to is starting to feel very lonely and boring. Because of that, he finds himself wishing that he could have his own best friend by his side. That wish is answered much faster than he expects, because not long after, he suddenly hears voices coming from somewhere in the distance. He can't understand the language they're speaking at all, but even so, he feels relieved when he hears them, because he knows those voices belong to humans. He quickly hides behind a nearby tree and carefully looks out, spotting a small group of adventurers walking closer. At first, he thinks about showing himself and trying to talk to them, but then he remembers that he's a drag. Because of that, he wonders if they might attack him the moment they see him. Still, he thinks that since he's small, harmless looking, and kind of cute, they might not see him as a threat. He even considers that they might keep him as a pet with that hopeful thought in mind, he steps out from behind the tree and stands in front of them, trying his best to act cute and non-threatening. Unfortunately, his plan completely fails. The adventurers don't see him as cute at all. Instead, they only see him as prey and valuable meat. Without hesitation, the leader of the group slashes him across the chest with his sword. Right after that, the man uses magic that numbs his entire body and makes it impossible for him to move properly. He desperately tries to run away, but his body won't respond because of the numbing effect. As he lies there, helpless, he watches the adventurers slowly walk toward him, clearly preparing to kill him. At that moment, he realizes how foolish he was to believe that a dragon could ever befriend humans. After everything he endured and all the effort he put into evolving and surviving, it feels like it's all about to end in a meaningless and pointless death. Just as the leader raises his weapon and prepares to deal the finishing blow, a female adventurer suddenly steps in and stops. She says that there's no need to kill such a small, cute and innocent-looking dragon. Confused, he wonders why he's still alive. After a few seconds, he starts to feel a warm sensation spreading through his body. When he looks up, he realizes that the female adventurer is using healing magic on him. He quickly uses his appraisal skill and learns that her name is Miria. Even though her MP is low, she still chooses to heal him anyway. Miria continues speaking to him, and after a short while, the system announces that he has gained the Greek language skill, which would allow him to understand human language more clearly if he levels it up. However, this calm and gentle moment doesn't last long. Suddenly, loud screams echo from somewhere ahead. Miria instantly recognizes the voices as belonging to her comrades, and without thinking, she tries to rush forward to help them. Before she can go, he grabs her arm and desperately signals for her to stop, warning her that whatever is ahead is far too dangerous for her to face alone. Even so, Miria pulls away and runs off anyway, leaving him behind. He realizes that he can't just stand there and do nothing while the girl who saved his life is in danger. Gathering his courage, he forces himself to move and rushes after her. When he finally reaches the scene, his fear deepens as he sees the monster they're fighting. It's a rock dragon, a C-rank monster. To make things even worse, it has 1997 HP, which means it would take an enormous amount of damage to defeat it. Miria has already been injured by the monster, and when he calls out to her, the rock dragon turns its attention toward him instead. Staring at the massive creature now focused on him, he freezes in fear, unable to move, and wonders if this is truly how everything comes to an end. That was episode 1. Subscribe to not miss the next part, and watch the next video on screen if you love any of my story. Then like and comment and I will continue.